Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Beatles. You can already tell I'm trying to match, okay? I am the fifth Beatle. I don't know if there was actually a fifth one. I know on the last video, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, a lot of you, because I said that Yoko Ono, after the State of Texas, was my number 2 enemy. And you people started arguing in favor of her. Like, oh, Yoko Ono did the same thing all of us did. She loved John Lennon. Yeah. But call me Chuck Berry, because that's the way I look at her. I hope you have seen that video where they've done a live performance and Chuck Berry, dude, Yoko Ono was just, I'm going to be honest, that woman has some sort of mental illness and people are not ready to acknowledge that yet. Chuck Berry also looked weirdly at her, and then God bless the audio engineer who just cut her out. He said, you know what? We don't need that. La, 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 la. We don't need that. Ma'am, respectfully, shut the fuck up. Okay, but Rubber Soul, by the way, speaking of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which I have got here, unfortunately, you will not be able to find that on my channel. 2 days it was taken down. And usually I intend to at least have 50% of the album's music in these videos. I'm assuming it's not going to work with the Beatles. You can find the video uncut on Patreon as always and a little earlier. By the way, I also have these two. I just never listened to them. So I don't have FOMO, fear of missing out, but I think I've been missing out. I had asked you which ones we should do on this little community note. You guys said Abbey Road, but most of you said if I do all of them, which I do, I should start with Rubber Soul, which we're going to do. Drive My Car, first song. We're just going to start. We are just going to start. Wait, this was in 1965. Let's just start. George Martin is the producer of the entire record, January 3rd, 1926, 1 month before me. And he lived until 2016. Wow. Hey, he got up to 90 years. I told that girl that my prospects were beep, 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 yeah. Now we had the car honk. I got no car and it's breaking my heart. Okay, we actually made for her, and she's made for us. Yes, I'm gonna be because she also doesn't have a car, but we do, and we need a driver. Okay, we're just gonna continue into the next song. I don't know where you're from. Where I'm from, there is this assumption that women can't drive, and we are switching that around. So we are saying, we are the passenger princess, okay? In this case, beep, 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 yeah. Next song, Norwegian Wood. This bird has flown. Second song, and already starting with an acoustic guitar. To stay and she told me to sit anywhere. The way that we are using entirely instrumental, analog instruments does make it sound Norwegian Wood. Kind of sounds like something a little bit more folky. Yes. I had said it on Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. I even looked the fucking instrument up because it appeared very Indian, and it is. And that's the sound, but only on the left side. On the right, we've got the normal guitar. The acoustic guitar, that's the word. And very slowly bringing in Ringo. Okay, now I'm kind of thinking that we've had a professional at work. I'm going to put it that way, okay? We're respectful. I'm going to say professional. A driver to sorry for men who fell interest into bed and I got revenge in an extreme. Excuse me, what now? Is my song completely. It was about an affair I was having. I was very careful and paranoid because I didn't want my wife. John Lennon, this fucker. Because at first, after he said, like, this is something, the bird had flown, we just kicked her out and now I'm smoking a cigar maybe. Isn't it good? Norwegian Wood. It was me who decided in Norwegian Wood that the house should burn down. Not that it's any big deal. Okay, this is just more confusing. You Won't See Me. Yeah, I'm not seeing why we would burn the house down. Maybe if it gets leaked.
Lines engaged. If you won't see me, why you?
Then we just go from like this almost folky song to it doesn't really sound like classic rock. Yes, it's rock and roll, but just kind of a different notion of it. But I do have to say at this point, respect to Ringo Starr for this little Right now, this is just pleasant, especially these little ooh la 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 ooh, these little ad-libs. Say what you want. Yeah, of course, like it's, hey, Girl, Since You've Begun, You Won't See Me. It feels like years I lost you. But it's very catchy. And they also make it sound very upbeat and very friendly, especially with these little chorus ad-libs. Ooh la la. It's fun. You won't see. I mean, generally, technically it's sad, but it sounds fun. Usually, at least nowadays, or what I'm more used to, we would have like longer intros kind of giving us the time to breathe. But this entire album is 35 minutes. That's nothing. We don't really give each song that time the way maybe with Sgt. Pepper we started out, where we just introduced everybody. Let's introduce the band. We are just boom, 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 going from one story to the next one to the next one.
He's a real nowhere man.
And even though this is the remastered version, if you listen to it with headphones, you will also notice it does have these very, it doesn't really seem stereo. It seems very, very, well, of course it's stereo, but it seems very, very mono in the way that it was mastered in the end, because you only have on one side of the headphones each noise.
Sitting in his nowhere.
And right now these vocals are very prominent on the right, and the guitar is only on the left. But it is kind of nice to have this contrast between this right here, and this was very early in the career, I believe like their fourth album, and to like the last one that we listened to, and honestly the only full-length Beatles album I ever listened to, Sgt. Pepper, because Sgt. Pepper's was also very fun, very sophisticated. But this right here is was very like again, it kind of has this childish innocence. Let's have fun with it. Let's just play some songs.
Like you and me.
It doesn't try to be anything it's not.
Making all his nowhere plans for nobody.
Again,
Nobody.
they kind of manage to make something, technically what they are talking about, pretty sad, make it appear fun because of the way they just surround it in very, very pleasant sounding, not just instruments, but these little ooh-la-las, and then them harmonizing on top of it, even though it's a nowhere man making his nowhere plans for nobody. Like that's sad. Okay, but it sounds nice. Think for yourself. That's a good message.
I've got a word or two. You're telling all those lies.
But again, I'm just we don't have really time to think in between the songs. We don't really have time to have these songs, since all of them are already over the moment you think you're getting into it. Doof, 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 doof. Right now we are over a third of the album is done, and I feel like we are still on the first song because I just haven't caught up yet. That's how fast we've moved. And again, we have like what, 4 chords, and then boom, start with the lyrics. Like, I gotta get into it a little bit. I gotta just see, okay, what do we have? What kind of instruments? What kind of sounds? What kind of what are we doing? Where are we going with it? and we are just throwing us, or me at least right now, around the room.
Do what you want to do.
And I really like the shaker though.
And for yourself, 'cause I will be there with you.
Almost feeling like a parent sending our child somewhere, or our child leaving the nest. Although in this moment, I'm not going to deny the fact I thought of Yoko Ono.
'Cause I will be there with you.
Maybe that's something that they were told when they were younger.
You want to.
This gives me the impression of an older person or someone you may look up to or may not look up to, just lecturing you. You didn't even ask for it. I didn't ask for it. It's the fifth song, and we are being lectured by them. Keeping with the other Harrison. Oh, it's a Harrison song. As a partly political, philosophical rant against politicians and other people who try to keep people from setting their goals too high. That we should think however we want and how to expand your mind, greater possibilities in the way forward. And I understood it in a totally different way. I understood it in... Yes, at first I thought think for yourself, where I said, that's a good message. But then the song almost made me feel like... I don't know, being thrown out there.
Say the word.
Sorry to interrupt. Only based on the way we just said doom 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 doom. Am I the only one, or does this almost sound pretty funky? Like this is just giving me. This doesn't really sound. This is almost not really like rock. I know that the Beatles were a band which widened that view on rock and roll because they went even further and just explored many different possibilities to interpret rock. But they just gave me a little bit of a, I don't know, pretty funky feel. With the piano.
Be like me. In the beginning, I misunderstood, but now I've got it. The word is good. Have you heard? The word is love. In the good and the bad.
And for some reason, the way Paul McCartney is playing the bass right now is giving me a little, since like it's a normal acoustic bass, almost giving me a little Western vibes. And now we're digging into the falsetto voices. Okay, we've got an organ. Which is funny that we had the organ, because only based on the lyrics or the way they've set it up lyrically, say the word, no, say the word, and you'll be like me, say the word I'm thinking of. This is almost gospelly. Not the sound of it, but just the lyrics themselves, the way it's set up, that you would like say the word and you'll be free. Say the word and be like me. Say the word I'm thinking of. Have you heard of Jesus? Like you could just redact that. And of course, like technically Jesus is love. But yeah, that's why it's a little bit funny at the end to have the organ. Hey, cool song. And we are just fading out. Michelle. Okay. Not gonna lie. The Word, a very, very fun song. I wouldn't say maybe so far my favorites.
Michelle, my belle, Michelle.
We are very good together.
I love you, Michelle.
But again, please notice it, how we only have several acoustic guitars, 2, and a very, very calm, holding himself back, Ringo Starr, who's only doing as much as you need to do. He's essentially working a little bit like a metronome right now, just with a little bit of a drum and a little bit of bass with that. But other than that, it's just the vocals and a guitar and a little bit of cha, cha.
I need to make you see.
And the way that they are using their voices right now is giving me heavy 50s, maybe even before that, vibes. The way you would have pure, it's not a pure vocal groups. Just very minimal altogether. And a funny thing, am noticing already how a lot of these melodies are very, very intrusive. They just come and they stay in your mind. Like these are very, very, very easy to remember. It just I could sing along after essentially like the first, I don't know, 30 seconds of the song. Because you can just remember these melodies after one listen. Very, very simple. Okay, I'm gonna assume Michelle is our French love. She only understands I love you, and we cannot get to see her because we are living apart from each other. By comical fool French ballad, he used to busk in the streets when he was a teenager in order to attract women and make his friends laugh. Paul asked his mother, the mother of his friends, Peter, if the French was correct. Seulement qu'ils vont très bien ensemble. Yes. The pronunciation, a little shaky, but they would understand what you're going for. What goes on? Almost a little bit like what's going on? What's happening? What's going on by none other than Marvin Gaye. What the fuck did we just... I told you I was at war with Texas. And now I feel like we've gone to Texas. Oh no, not Texas, just some Midwest states. This is the type of song that that Quentin Tarantino would put in his movies when you're just driving somewhere in one of his, I don't know, Pontiac Firebirds or whatever, just down some long road. That's the kind of song that he would put in that movie. Right? But to be fair, first of all, it's fun. And second of all, right now, 8th song. It took me a little bit more. It took me a little bit longer, but I'm getting into it, okay? Right now, I have arrived, okay? I am in it. Bass and the drum work very well together. Even though it is technically kind of sad. I mean, yeah, of course, you're tearing me apart. I don't know what you're on. You aren't really communicating well with me. It sounds fucking fun. And I'm here for it. Next song is called Girl. I'm here. It makes you sorry when you cheat on them. John. First song that I know, or at least only this part I do. Other than that, I don't. Maybe they've used it in a different song. But that's the first one that I believe, at least this, I've heard somewhere before. They do know how to harmonize well. Can we just appreciate that on this Girl, especially with George Harrison? By the way, it's very interesting to notice how it, like this is again, I'm going to assume the entire thing is sung by John Lennon. So I'm just going to assume it's also a John Lennon song. And John Lennon plays the acoustic guitar, or just generally guitar. And that's why we're having so many guitars, where like we don't have any bass right now. And even, I believe, also no Ringo in it. So you can notice how, based on who the song made, I'm going to assume it's him since he's the only one singing 95% of the time, how they also influenced the music, since they would obviously write the music for their own instrument that they know to play. Like I watched a little bit of how Come Back came to be, that documentary that was released on Disney. And they just try something out and then they come up with the lyrics, then they come up with the melody. But at first they have the instruments. Still guitars. And a little bit of bass. Okay, hey, it took me 9 songs, but finally, even though it was only 2 words, I have heard those 2 words before. That's a win in my books. I'm looking through you. Yeah, I'm looking through them. Essentially, I know the entire album, okay? I know like 5 seconds of one song. I could have written it.
You don't look different, but you have changed.
Are those people who are almost like in kindergarten when you had these clap games or just melodies that you would make on your knees? Tum, 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 tum. Is that it? It sounds like hand claps. And I would argue, not just because of the instruments, but also because Lennon and McCartney are singing together, that this was a song, again, made by both of them, not just by one. And yes, it's. I mean, let's be honest. I would argue, like, what, 85, 90% of the entire Beatles discography is Lennon and McCartney, at least their songs. I believe when they broke up, George Harrison also released like one album that's, I don't know, 2 hours long, or even 2 albums, where he just put everything that he has ever worked on, but that was shut down in the Beatles era, where he put all of those songs on. Hey, we're looking through her, okay? We cannot be fooled. We cannot be fooled. Next song, In My Life. We went from. It would have been fun. Maybe there is another one like Sgt. Pepper's where we would have a consecutive. No, where we would have an album that in itself is not just a collection of songs, but where it kind of all makes sense. If we had, like, for example, Michelle, and now we've changed our view on Michelle, just an example, and we are singing through her. But since all of these songs are so short, and we are mostly focusing on ourselves and only very tiny bit on the other partner, or the girls we're falling for, we can't really make out who these songs are about. And probably, I would assume, sometimes they are about nobody. Sometimes they've just, like, they decided to make it and they just thought of some random woman. Very kind, very kind. Who would have thought that we were this kind? Piano solo.
In my life, I love you more.
Almost channeling a little bit of Axl Rose in that, in my life. By the way, considering this, I know that a lot of rock and roll, and still nowadays, a lot of artists take classical music and be inspired by it. But I know that especially in rock and roll in the 60s, it was very normal to incorporate those kind of parts, sometimes even orchestral instruments, just isolate them out of everything else and put them on a rock song. Even though, of course, like, this is a very pleasant, slower, affectionate ballad. A very pleasant one. A very pleasant one. And also, I believe it's a feeling that a lot of people have, and they have managed to put it into words pretty well. You never lose the affection for people and things that went before. You'll often think about them. But right now, it's something different. And here he said, when I think of love as something new, these memories lose their meaning. Sometimes that happens. That when another love comes, the old ones just fade away or don't feel as fresh anymore. But what are we going to wait for?
I feel as though you ought to know that I've been good as I can be. I've been away now.
I know sometimes I need to pause, but I'm just vibing, and I hate the word to vibe. I'm just on the same page as them. I'm just kind of like casually, hey, I'm having a good time, and I don't have the feeling to interrupt. Whoever they got on, it's not even a shaker anymore. I don't know the fucking name of the instrument. Which you can also hit on, and it has these little, I don't know the name, but they're having a lot of fun. They are. I believe it was it Ringo sometimes? No, who was it? Someone who doesn't have anything to do. George Harrison? Hey, it's a lovely song, but I do not know if John Lennon, the man, the man who himself said he would constantly have romances outside of his main partners, I don't know if I would, I don't know if my heart would be strong enough. I would be, it has already broken. I will turn him away. If I needed someone.
Had you come some other day?
I can't tell it what it is, but the sound of the song feels like we are slow. And of course, it's the second to last song. And it kind of gives me that feeling, this, almost, I don't want to say we've come full circle, but instrumentally, it kind of sounds like we just rounded everything out right now. And we're slowly getting out of it.
Of your number on my wall and
Doesn't this just feel like, yes, we're kind of saying, hey, if I needed someone, I'll let you know. Like, I feel like they're talking to me, saying, hey, it's okay. I'm gonna let you know. And now run for your life. After we said we needed someone. Am I running from them because their love is hurting? Let's see. This is the closer. To be honest, I felt like if I needed someone, really felt like a closer.
better run for your life if you can.
I told you if I needed someone sounded like a very nice outro. And now they're threatening me. Oh, okay, I'm not a little girl.
Hide your head in the sand, little girl. Got you with another man.
But it sounds so happy.
Let's see you dead. You better
I just want to see if this is based on anything. Okay, I just want to make sure. John Lennon, okay. To its lyrics deal with an abusive yes, where the yes. She cheats, yes. As a result, he speculated whether it was inspired by his own relationship with Cynthia. Didn't we also say Sin at some point? Cyn, which was somewhat sour and a bitter marriage. Yeah, it appears so. I believe he cheated on her, as far as I can tell. It was one of George Harrison's tracks. Okay. Lennon himself was since denounced, calling it his least favorite Beatles song. Oh! On several occasions, it was also briefly banned by some radio station. And okay, they're like, is anyone on this planet taking Canada serious for its threatening tone? Well, I wouldn't call it misogynistic. It's just psychopathic. But it sounds fun. Okay, maybe I need to know this. The instruments, they sound fun, okay? The topic, this doesn't sound, doing this doesn't sound fun. But the instruments, they sound fun. I felt like I had to, I got to make that statement clear.
if you can, little girl.
Hey, fun album. Run for your life. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say fun album after this song. Like, that y'all gonna think I'm the next Cosby. I'm not, but it sounds fun. Pretty fun way. Wait, I just gotta check their discography because I think the next one that I would do chronologically based on the 4 that I gave you. Yes, Revolver came after this. 1 year later and another year later, Sgt. Pepper's, and in the same year as this, Help. By the way, Help is probably my favorite song of theirs. They've put out a lot of fucking music in a very short period of time. Like, all of these are 1 year apart each. 65, this bad boy right here. 66, Revolver. 67, Sgt. Pepper's. 68, the White Album. 69, Abbey Road. And then there's, I believe after that they kind of fell off. Then it's mostly live performances. Yellow Submarine. Is that an entire album? Okay, it is. I only know the song, Let It Be. And yeah, that's about it. All right. Chronologically, we would just continue with Revolver at this point. Thank you very much for watching. And let's pray actually for their record label to have this be on this channel. That would be amazing. In not full length. I don't demand that much, but just 50% of the music. Thank you. Bye.